Have you ever stopped to think about the uh, the invisible structure holding our world together? I mean, all that value locked up in every bridge, every building, every pipeline, everything that makes up our built environment. These things aren't just sitting there, are they? They're dynamic, they're getting more complex, and we're asking more and more from them in terms of performance. So today, we're doing a deep dive. We're cutting through some complexity to understand something really crucial if you deal with buildings, infrastructure, anything like that. We're talking about managing information, not just any time, but specifically doing the operational life of an asset. And there's actually an international standard to guide us. Our mission today, unpacking ISO 9660 G3 data.
Yeah, and it's a huge challenge. Assets last a really long time. Think about it, 40, maybe 60 years for a building. Infrastructure could be 80, 100, even 120 years. Keeping track of all the information, what something is, how it's performing, what work's been done on it over that kind of time scale, feels almost impossible sometimes. But what's fascinating and really important is the potential upside. If we get this information management right, the gains can be massive.
Exactly. So think of this standard, ISO 19653, as a roadmap. It's there to help make sure your assets keep delivering value, stay safe, and run efficiently for decades. We'll look at the big picture, dig into some surprising details, and figure out what it means for you, whether you own these assets, operate them, or maybe you just rely on them every day. Okay, let's ground this a bit. The sheer amount of wealth tied up in built assets globally is, well, it's staggering. Trillions and trillions of dollars. And like we said, these aren't just static things. They're vital. They support our economy, our whole way of life, really.
Right. But here's the thing. For all that value, how well is the information about these assets actually managed? Often, it's frankly a mess. The sources we looked at point this out clearly. Information is often incomplete. It's inaccurate. Sometimes it's ambiguous, or you just plain can't get hold of it when you need it. You know those huge piles of handover documents you get for a new building? Looks impressive, sure.
Oh, yeah? Seen those?
But are they actually usable 5, 10, 20 years later when something goes wrong or you need a planned maintenance? Often, not really. And this isn't just annoying.
Yeah.
It creates real problems.
And here's the real kicker, isn't it? The operational life.
Yeah.
It just goes on for so long, decades, like you said. Way longer than the project that built the thing in the first place. Managing information reliably over that time scale from all sorts of different places, different people, that's the massive challenge. It's like fighting entropy, keeping it all useful.
Which brings us to the opportunity side. It's just as big as the challenge. The source material, it actually quantifies this. It suggests that using a structured approach, like ISO 19653 lays out, can lead to savings of up to 30% in lifecycle costs.
30% over the whole life. That's huge.
It really is. It's not small change. Think what that means. Less downtime because you're doing maintenance proactively, not reactively. More efficient work scheduling. Better risk management because you actually know what state your assets are in.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're just getting more value out of these incredibly expensive things.
Right. Imagine knowing exactly when a pump needs replacing before it fails.
Precisely. Or having perfect, easily accessible records ready for a safety inspection. No frantic searching through old files. That's the kind of advantage good information management gives you.
Okay, so how does this standard ISO 19650 actually help us get there? First off, it doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It's part of a family.
Yes, exactly. There's ISO 19651, which sets out the basic concepts and principles for managing information using BIM building information modeling. Then Part 2 focuses specifically on the delivery phase, so the design and construction stages of a project. And Part 5 looks at the security side of things, which is obviously critical. Got it. But our focus today is squarely on Part 3. That's the one dealing with the long haul, the operational phase, once the asset is up and running. Yeah, and to really get Part 3, we need to understand who's involved. There are some key roles to find. First, you've got the appointing party. This is usually the asset owner or maybe the operator. They're the ones in overall control, the ones who ultimately need the information to run their business or fulfill their duties.
Okay, the owner-operator. Makes sense.
Then you have lead appointed parties. Think of them as like the main contractors or perhaps major in-house departments responsible for managing chunks of work or specific asset types. They manage the information flow from others.
Right.
And those others are the appointed parties. These are the task teams, the specialists, the people actually doing the work on the ground, surveys, maintenance, installations, and producing the specific bits of information needed. It's a collaborative structure.
Okay, structure sounds important. Now, you mentioned something earlier that makes the operational phase different. The trigger event, what's that all about?
Ah, yes, the trigger event. This
Yeah.
is absolutely central to ISO 19653. It's basically any event, planned or unplanned, that happens during the asset's life and creates a need for new or updated asset information.
So it's not just project start and end dates.
Not at all. It's much more dynamic. It's the thing that initiates an information management cycle during operation. It ensures the information stays current, reflecting reality.
Okay, examples. What kind of triggers are we talking about?
Well, you've got your planned events, things you know are coming.
Like regular maintenance.
Exactly. Annual inspections, scheduled component replacements based on expected lifespan, statutory checks required by regulators, that sort of thing.
Okay. And unplanned.
That's where it gets interesting, and often urgent. An unexpected equipment failure, obviously. Damage from something like a storm or a flood. But it could also be a strategic decision. Maybe the organization decides it needs to build an extension, so that becomes a trigger to update the information about the existing facility.
Ah, so even a new project starting can be a trigger event for the existing asset's information.
Precisely. Or even things like a change in ownership of the asset, or new government regulations coming into force that require different information to be recorded, anything that changes the context or requires new data.
Right, got it. So these triggers drive the need for information.
They do. And what's really crucial in the standards approach is that it starts with the appointing party, the owner-operator needing to get its own house in order first. It's not just about sitting back and waiting for information to arrive. It's about being proactive, figuring out and clearly defining what information you actually need.
How do they do that? Is there a process?
Yes, there's a hierarchy for defining requirements, starting really broad and getting progressively more specific.
Okay.
At the very top, you have organizational information requirements, or OIR. These are the big strategic questions. What does the organization as a whole need to know to meet its business goals?
Give me an example of an OIR.
Sure, an OIR might be something like, what's the potential financial and operational impact if one of our key asset types fails? Or maybe, what are the comparative lifecycle costs across our entire property portfolio? High-level business stuff.
Okay, big picture needs.
Then, beneath that, you have asset information requirements, or AR. These break down those big OIR questions into specific information needed for each individual asset, or maybe asset type.
Right, drilling down.
So using that OIR example about failure impact, the AR for, say, a specific electrical substation might be, we need a detailed schedule of what-if failure scenarios for this substation, including potential downtime, repair costs, and impact on the network. It makes the broad needs specific and actionable for that asset.
Okay, OIR then AR defines the what. What else does the owner need to set up?
Well, defining what you need is only part of it. The appointing party also has to establish the underlying infrastructure, the tools and rules to make sure the information they get is consistent, high quality, and actually usable over decades.
Right, because you could have hundreds of different people providing information over 60 years. How do you keep it consistent?
Exactly. So the standard points to several key things they need to establish. First, an asset information standard. This defines how information should be structured, named, classified. Think consistent naming conventions for every pump, valve, window, everything.
Like a common language for the data.
Precisely. Then, asset information production methods and procedures. These are the agreed workflows, how information gets created, checked for quality, approved, and kept secure.
Okay, the rules of the game.
And then, absolutely critical, is the common data environment, the CDE. Now, don't just think of this as a big shared drive. It's much smarter. It's a combination of agreed processes and technology solutions. It has to ensure every piece of information has a unique ID. You can track its status, like work in progress or approved control revisions, keep a full audit trail of who did what when, and manage access securely.
So it's the central hub, the brain, almost.
You could say that. It's the nervous system for the information flow. And all this information ultimately populates the asset information model, or AIM.
The A, that's the big database, right?
It's the long-term repository,
Yeah.
yes. But a key point here is that it's designed to be a federated information model.
Federated. What does that mean practically?
It means it doesn't have to be one single giant monolithic system that you build from scratch. The AIM can actually pull together information from different sources, different providers. And crucially, it can link to and exchange data with your existing systems, your finance system, your maintenance management system, like a CAF system, your building monitoring systems. It breaks down those data silos.
Ah, so you don't need to rip and replace everything you already have. That's useful.
Very useful. It makes implementation much more feasible. And finally, to make sure everyone involved understands their roles and responsibilities regarding the AIM, there's the Asset Information Protocol, This is usually a formal, potentially contractual document.
Okay, so the owner sets up the standards, the CDE, defines the AIM structure, gets the protocol sorted, and defines their OIR and AIR. Sounds like a lot of groundwork.
It is, but it's essential groundwork.
Yeah.
Once that's in place, the appointing party is ready to actually request specific information when a trigger event occurs.
And that request, that's the Exchange Information Requirements, or EIR.
Exactly. The EIR is tied to a specific trigger event and directed at a specific lead-appointed party. It says, for this maintenance task, or following this incident, or for this upgrade project, we need this specific information from you. It details exactly what's required, when it's needed, maybe how often, any security rules, and really importantly, the acceptance criteria. How will the owner know if the information delivered is good enough?
Sets the clear target for delivery.
Precisely.
Okay, so the request goes out. What happens on the other side, the supply side?
Right. The lead-appointed party, along with their delivery teams or appointed parties, receives the EIR. Their first job is to respond. They'll typically prepare a BIM execution plan, or BEP. This outlines how they plan to produce and deliver the information requested in the ER. They also need to check they actually have the capability and capacity, the right people, skills, technology to do it. They'll develop a mobilization plan to get everything ready, and importantly, identify any risks that might stop them delivering on time or to the right quality.
So they plan their response carefully.
Yes. Then comes mobilization, getting the team set up, maybe configuring software, making sure everyone understands the procedures.
And then the actual work starts producing the information.
Correct. The production of information. And this happens within that controlled CDE workflow we talked about. Typically, information starts its life in the work-in-progress state. This is where a specific task team is creating it, maybe doing a survey, writing a report, updating a drawing. It's not visible to everyone yet.
Okay, internal work.
Then, after they've done their own internal checks and are happy with it, it moves to the shared state. Now it's visible to the wider delivery team, managed by the lead-appointed party. This allows for coordination, making sure different pieces of information from different teams fit together.
Makes sense. Collaboration.
Once the lead-appointed party has reviewed it, maybe done some coordination checks, and formally authorized it, then it moves to the published state.
Published means ready for the owner.
Ready for the appointing party to review against their requirements.
Got it. And then the final step for the owner is acceptance.
Yes. The appointing party reviews the information model that's been submitted. They check it carefully against the requirements in their EIR and those crucial acceptance criteria.
This isn't just a quick look, presumably.
No, it should be a rigorous check. Is the information complete? Is it in the right format? Does it meet the quality standards? If it does, they formally accept it.
And once accepted.
Once accepted, that information container, that model, is then formally aggregated into the main asset information model, AIM, becomes part of the long-term record.
So the AIM grows and evolves over time with each trigger event.
Exactly. And this highlights the absolute importance of the ongoing maintenance of the AM. It's not a static library you fill once. It's a continuous process, potentially lasting decades.
Yeah.
The appointing party is responsible for ensuring the AIM always reflects the current actual state of the physical asset as closely as possible. This involves managing tasks for ongoing information production, deciding how long to retain information, archiving old data appropriately, and constantly ensuring security.
So the AM is like a living digital counterpart to the physical asset.
That's a great way to put it. It needs ongoing care and feeding to stay healthy and useful.
Okay, that covers the cycle for operational triggers. But what happens when, say, a major new project comes along for an existing asset, like a big refurbishment or an extension? How do the operational side, part 3, and the project side, part 2, connect?
That's a really important interface. And the standards are designed for this convergence. It's actually quite elegant. Basically, the existing AIM becomes a primary source of reference information for the new project.
So the project team doesn't start from scratch?
Ideally, no.
Yeah.
If you're refurbishing a building and you have a well-maintained AIM, the project team gets access to all the current structural drawings, MEP layouts, equipment lists, condition reports, everything they need to understand the existing situation.
That must save a huge amount of time and reduce risk for the project.
Absolutely. Less need for costly and disruptive surveys to rediscover information that should already exist.
Yeah.
Then, the appointing party for the operational phase, maybe the facilities management department, they issue their own EIR to the project team.
An operational EIR for a delivery project.
Yes. This operational EIR specifies what information the operations team needs from the project to be able to manage the asset effectively after the project is finished and handed over. It's looking ahead to day one of operation post-project.
So ensuring the project delivers the right info for long-term
That's
management.
right. What information do we need about the new equipment? What updated drawings? What maintenance manuals? And what format?
This sounds like it needs really good coordination between the people running the existing asset and the people running the new project.
Critical coordination, yes. The operational appointing party and the project appointing party need to be aligned. They need to ensure the information standards, the protocols, the CDE approach are consistent across both phases so information flows smoothly.
No gaps or mismatches.
Right. And then at the end of the project delivery phase, when the work is done,
Handover time.
relevant information from the project information model, PIM, that's the model developed during design and construction,
No.
is then formally transferred back into the asset information model.
Yeah.
It gets aggregated, updating the existing records or adding information about the new or modified parts of the asset.
So the AM gets updated with the results of the project.
Correct. The cycle completes. The AMIN is refreshed, ready for the ongoing operational phase of the now changed asset. It's a continuous loop of information feeding operations, operations informing projects, and projects feeding back into operations.
Wow, okay, so we've really covered a lot there. We've gone from the huge challenge of managing information over decades through understanding the roles, the trigger events, the specific requirements like OIR and EIR, the importance of the CDE and the AIM, the whole process from request to acceptance, and even how it links up with new projects.
That's right. We've unpacked the core logic of ISO 19650 Take 3. It provides that structured framework, that roadmap we talked about, for managing information throughout that long, dynamic operational life.
Hopefully you now have a much clearer understanding of the why this is so important and the how this structured approach actually works in practice.
Yeah, the goal is that you're better equipped now with insights that can help maximize asset value, definitely reduce operational risks, and drive real efficiencies whether you own, operate, or just interact with these critical built assets.
It moves information from being just a burdensome record-keeping task to being a real strategic asset itself.
Absolutely. Turning data into actionable intelligence.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? Well, hopefully you're now much better placed to appreciate just how vital good information management is for keeping our infrastructure, our buildings, our whole built world running smoothly, safely, and efficiently. It's not just paperwork, it's the intelligence that underpins it all.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. We talked about trigger events, both planned and unplanned. But given how unpredictable the world can be, and these decades-long asset lifespans, what kind of truly unforeseen trigger events might hit us in the future? Think about climate change impacts we haven't fully grasped yet, or maybe disruptive new technologies appearing out of nowhere. How might those radically reshape the information we suddenly find we need about our assets? And maybe more importantly, how prepared are our current systems and processes, even with standards like 19653, to handle those future information shocks?
That's a fascinating question. Food for thought indeed. How ready are we for the truly unknown triggers? Keep those questions coming and keep diving deep.